Okay, let's talk about Barlow.
I want some rest! Are we having fun yet?
All right, guys, let's talk about Don Barlow, because I've gotten so many messages on him. It's crazy, and it's like, you know what? It's time to talk about him. So, as you guys know, I've said this before, I do like Don Barlow. It was just a matter of it was just so hard for me to come out with a video because there's not a lot of footage on him, and it's because he took a very non-traditional route. So it's really hard to find a lot on him, and there's not a lot of articles on him at all. It's not any breakdowns of him at all. So it was really hard to just make a video. So pre-draft, I didn't make a video about Don Barlow. I figured that he would get drafted because of some of the reports that were getting out, but I wasn't 100% sure if it was worth making a video because I couldn't necessarily give a good overall consensus of how I feel about his game. Now, that has changed a little bit because I've actually found quite a few articles, or at least quotes, directly from him and from his previous teammates about him. And I have to say, it's one thing that stands true the entire time. It's one thing that keeps coming up continuously, and I absolutely love it. It's really making me buy in to what type of player he could potentially be. So first and foremost, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I have it on the screen. You're probably wondering what it is. It's actually something I found on Twitter, which I just found cool, from Overtime, in which they're just talking about what his path briefly, but just in general, just how hard he works. So I just wanted to play this. Let me go ahead and turn off the music. And there's one thing in particular that he says that you have to pay attention to.
Have you ever chased a dream that people said was crazy? Most people would say chasing the dream of an NBA career is a waste of your time.
Not actually. Like, there's genuinely no plan B.
Okay, did you hear that? He said there's literally no plan B. That is something that's going to show itself later, okay? We're going to go full circle with this.
There's about 500,000 high school boys basketball players, and only 16,000 of those players will end up playing at the college level. And of those 16,000, only 450 make it to the NBA. That's why what happened last night is so special. Don Barlow and Jean Montero made history after becoming the first players in OTE to sign contracts with NBA teams. A year ago, nobody would have believed Don Barlow would be competing for a roster spot on basketball's biggest stage. But the hardest working man in the game took destiny into his own hands. He spent more time in the gym than any other player in the country. He dedicated his life to the game, and all the sacrifice and hours in the gym are starting to pay off. The New Jersey native signed a two-way contract with the San Antonio Spurs, where he'll have the opportunity to play under the legendary Greg Popovich. Sounds like the perfect fit to me.
So he took a very non-traditional route. He's also making history. And when I say that he's a project, he's definitely a project. This is the definition of a project player. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about his game just a little bit, and I'm going to bring up his pro day just to have some visuals, right? So here's his pro day, and it went very well. And around this time, I remember a lot of articles coming out talking about Don Barlow and how he could get drafted and how he could be a really good prospect going into the draft. And yeah, but essentially it was still kind of hard for me to pinpoint what he does exceptionally well. And the reason being is because he does a lot of things pretty well. So as far as what type of player he is, it's really hard to pinpoint, but I will say this, one tendency that he has is he loves to seek contact. He loves to use that frame, use that body, use that strength, and search for the contact. And that is very, very, very bold, because I will say this, there is a con to it as well, because while he's always seeking contact and he's always kind of attacking the rim, and he plays like a dog, but at the same time, sometimes he can be a little impatient. That just comes to, being a project. He's a project player. He has to learn from it. But sometimes he rushes things because he's seeking that contact, when he, more often than not, he can actually just kind of let the game come to him offensively. But other than that, he can play on ball and off ball. He seems like an overall smart player, and he seems like a very hard working player. Like every single ball, if it's loose, he's there. If he has the opportunity to get a rebound, he's boxing you out. Like, he is always playing hard. And I know that sounds very generic and that's very vague, but I don't know what else to tell you, because even when we start looking at some of these quotes, it's very apparent that he worked very hard. Even in that last video, they kept saying that, like, he's the hardest worker. And I was like, Everyone says that, but I truly do believe that with him. Now, another thing as well is if we're trying to project what type of player he can be, let's just think ceiling. Okay, ceiling. He has a really nice shooting stroke, like a really nice shooting stroke. It looks a little weird. You know, some people say it's a little weird, but I like it. I think it's a really nice, smooth shooting stroke. And at times I see tendencies like Kevin Durant. And then I talked to my boy Swishio, and he said he sees a lot of John Collins. So it's really hard to tell. You can tell that those are completely two different like takes on it. So it's really hard, but that's what, you know, the point of a project player is. So let's go ahead and move on, and let's go into a quote in particular where he was talking about, you know, kind of his path. All right. So this isn't really fun. But we're going to talk about something that is really fun. But yeah, let's go ahead and just go through this. So he said, I started off at a small high school, Dominick High School. I was really getting that much recruitment, or I wasn't getting that much recruitment my junior year. And that's when I got my first D1 offer playing for Jersey Force AAU. It's an independent circuit. So you can tell that you're not going to get a ton of attention there. It's an independent circuit. They play the HGSL. I don't even know what that is. I'll be honest with you guys. Please let me know in the comments. I got 4 offers through that summer. Going into my senior year, I met Coach Oz, who is the 16U coach. And, you know, I won't read the rest of this. Basically, what happened was some people noticed him. He was playing, and they said, hey, he went out and did a workout. And he's like, hey, I really like you. You play well. And then after that, he started getting more and more recruitment once he got to the 17U, his 17U coach. But yeah, he was able to build his recruitment from there. Now, this is before he got to college. Now, the thing about him, and one thing that I really thought stood out, is in that video, he said there weren't any more options. Like, there's no plan B. And while that's really reckless, I think that shows a lot of confidence and a lot of dog. Because a lot of times these players, as soon as they go to college, you know, they do have an out. I mean, it's not as good as making, you know, going to the NBA necessarily, but they do have an out. But he definitely decided to go in a route where he said, no, I'm going to focus on basketball and basketball only. That's all I'm going to do. And I thought that was very interesting. So let's go ahead and read here. If you were to pursue something other than basketball for a career, what would it be? I haven't really thought too much about that, but I might want to go into business as a major in college. So a job in that, but other than that, I have no idea. I'm locked in right now. I have one goal. The way that he speaks, chills. Okay. Now, this is something that's very interesting. I was like, dude, are you a kid, or are you like a 35-year-old author? Like, what the heck is this? What 5 words would best describe you and why? Always fought until the end. Dang. I think that would be 5 words that would describe me, because I never gave up, even when there were moments where if I did, then nobody would have said anything. I stayed the course. I kept fighting, and I'm in a position now where I get to pursue my dreams. And then right here, this one I really like. At the end of the day, what do you hope to be remembered for on and off the court? Just being a nice person. I want my peers to respect me. I want people to hate me because I'm killing them on the court, but not because I'm a terrible person. Wow. I don't want to be a bad image off the court either. I just want to continue to be myself and never change. He should be a writer. He sounds, I don't know, man. He sounds like an anime character. Maybe it's just my nerd coming out, but this sounds like an anime. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. And this is one thing that I thought stood out the most. Now, his mom talked about him a little bit and how hard he works and whatnot, but I did want to just focus in on one of his teammates. So this is a teammate of Barlow on Team Overtime, and this is what he had to say about him. He's one of the hardest workers at OTE. He's all about the grind. He's not really into other things that don't concern basketball. He'll get the job done. Guys, we could very well be witnessing somebody that's going to be a Spur favorite. If he can really manage to get some minutes, if he can manage, because I'm assuming he's going to the G League. He'll have to, okay? With the 2-way contract and everything, he needs to go to the G League. He needs to develop, because he's raw. He's very raw. And he's going to have to develop some skills and hone into what he can be elite at, because he's just kind of good at everything. But keep in mind, this is the first time that this has happened, that an overtime elite player has made it to the NBA. So we don't know what to expect. Like a lot of people that wanted Shaedon Sharpe, and after, you know, some time, I was like, no, I don't think so. That was a huge gamble. Okay, it was. But I think this is a gamble, but this is the best possible gamble that you can take, because he could very well, at the end of the day, he's either going to be, at least what I'm seeing as far as what his floor is, he's either going to be a role player that's just a good teammate, because that's what I've seen. He can play off ball pretty well, or he's just going to be, or he's going to be somebody who is elite, somebody who can really bring a lot to the team. So I just wanted to kind of key in on a few things that I saw, just a few quotes that I've seen, and if there's anything else that you want to add on to, please do. But yeah, he seems like he actually is legit. So this is one more quote, and I'll just leave you with this. I don't find too many players like him. And if you're wondering, this is a starter for Team Elite. You don't find too many players like him, excuse me. He can dribble, shoot, and he does everything good. That's the great thing about him. A guy like him doesn't need the ball. And yeah, that adds on to my point of he's really good off ball as well. So guys, let me know what you think. I really do like him. I genuinely do. And I think he could be something serious, just as long as he get the reps and he continues to develop. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but over some time, I think he could be something very, very solid. So let me know what you think. If you want to support the channel, only $2 a month. Patreon, YouTube members, link in the description for that. Till next time, guys, deuces.